To find what students say when in trouble, we sent a survey asking about their experiences telling excuses. The grade that gives the most excuses is the seniors, being 50% of the responses, with juniors behind them being 25%. The 3 most common excuses for schoolwork were I didn't know there was homework, had after school activities, and I forgot to bring it. There were also some unique and odd excuses, such as I used invisible ink so you can't see the work, my sibling has the same notebook as me and took it, and whatever this is. Now let's see what some teachers have heard and said themselves, as well as from some other students.
Worst excuse I've ever been given for not turning in homework was a student that emailed me the night before and basically said that they couldn't do their homework because their internet was down and their Wi-Fi was down, and yet they were using their internet to email me this.
The worst excuse a student's ever given me was during COVID, virtual digital learning, and they said that they couldn't turn on their camera because their internet wasn't working. And then they forgot to turn off their camera and their mic, and then they started talking into their microphone, and you could tell that they were playing a video game with their friends.
I always get at least one person who comes the next day and tells me, on God, I didn't know, or something like that.
The worst excuse you could say that I've ever given, and this was turning in late work too, and this was when I was in high school. You know, you often hear about how, oh, dog ate my homework. Well, dog didn't eat my homework, my cat ate my homework. You know, my mom and my sister loved cats, so that we always had several, and one of them one night actually chewed up a bunch of the paper.
I usually don't give excuses. If I don't want to do it, I don't do it.
Sure, I blamed a variety of things back in the day on probably my sister.
Alright, so the best excuse that I've ever used came back in 7th grade when we were back in online school. You know, I was a lazy little middle schooler, and at times I didn't want to answer. So I would sometimes just look in the camera and go like, and then I told my teacher that my mic wasn't working.
One time, I didn't turn in my homework, and I told my teacher my dog died, so I had to go celebrate his funeral.
My worst excuse to skip something was I twisted my ankle, and I couldn't get out of my bed the whole time, so I didn't do anything.
What's after 6?
In terms of how my schedule is like, I have rehearsal 2 to 3 days a week, each around 3 hours. And then occasionally, every other week, I'd have a rehearsal on Saturdays from the whole day.
So I have first period vocal ensemble and third period concert choir, and those are my within school activities. Occasionally we will have an after school rehearsal. So what I do is just right after school, I come over to the KC and start the rehearsal. For drama, it's a somewhat similar schedule. I am not in any of the classes this year, though I am in the after school rehearsals to do the performances.
So in the mornings, of course, I go to school, and then I have my practice during 6th period. And after practice, I go home and do whatever, and then I go out to a cafe to study up until about 11, and then I go home.
In my personal life and relationships, honestly, I don't have a lot of time for friends. My time outside of the school hours is honestly taken up most by rehearsals and practicing scripts or singing and learning my notes.
I manage it by just optimizing as much time as I can. So in between classes or in between rehearsal time, I take the time to sleep or do my homework or just rehearse for practice.
The people in here right now, they treat me as family and I treat them as family. We take care of each other and I really appreciate them. And just in general, I love being on stage and I like playing the characters. Being a character on stage and not myself for once is really fun. You know, you get to live another life. I continue to do marching band, more so because it's nice having a schedule, just feel like I'm doing something.
Because for the past 3 years, I've been captain, and throughout these years, with my teammates, I've built really tight connections with them and a bunch of good memories, and it's just a great way to stay active and involved in the school.
Bro, Nathan, this is is actually so sad, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, seriously, how do people get good grades?
Wait, I know what we're gonna do today. That's him.
We've been expecting you. How'd you get grades this good?
Of course, I just go to Google, search up chatgpt.com, put in my review materials and be like, ChatGPT, can you explain what happened in 8th Push Unit 11? And ChatGPT gives me, I read it, have a good time, and hope for the best.
I look back at my notes and write down all the equations I remember, and then go through the ones that I don't remember, and then I try to derive them back.
I definitely would try talking to the teacher more, try understanding what you did wrong, because in the long term, understanding where your mistakes come from makes you like understand the topic a lot more and see what you can do to improve.
By studying and then actually being prepared before every lesson, pre-preparing so I know what I'm learning and I can like have more yes than no's when I go to a new lesson.
I think my hardest class in high school was my sophomore English honors class. To deal with it, I think English has mainly two skills, multiple choice and essays. For multiple choice, I would do a bunch of practice passages. For essays, I would just write a bunch of essays. I think it worked out because I got 5 APLA.
The most underrated hard class ever was Miss Mersch, English 2 honors. That class made me like question if I ever understood English for real. Wait, what was the question? So what I did to keep an A in Mersch was I definitely read all the books, read Joy Luck Club, and prepared myself better for the essays by looking at practice problems.
You can't just linger on the past. You might get a bad test score, or even with a good test score, you can't let that define you either, because there are going to be ups and downs, but you just got to keep going.
At the end of the day, grades don't really matter. Just all out as you try your best.
Find a reasonable amount of time to do your things. Don't give you too much time because you're gonna procrastinate, but don't start too late because you're gonna run out of time.
Don't take school too seriously, like just have fun with it. Wait, why are you guys asking me these questions? There's this guy right here.
Remember guys, always get a good night's sleep.